name's Eddie Polk. I've been teaching here since 2002. I began teaching in Springfield in 1997. I'm a history teacher. I am currently the head of the department, and I've been teaching African American studies, U.S. history. I've taught world history, and this year we really started to try to do some new things with the history department regarding civics and cultural proficiency and that sort of thing. So when I started teaching here, I immediately wanted to do an African American studies course, but there were a lot of things. There was always something that was keeping me from actually putting it together, planning it out. So finally, but I always talked about it, always embedded stuff into my courses, and after talking to students, they kept saying, "Oh, we wish we had something here." And I finally said, "You know what, Ed, you're just going to do it. We're just going to take a summer. We're going to sit down. We're going to put together a curriculum and go from there." So 7 years ago, we did that. And in that first year, we started a multicultural club. And we had 120 members in the first year. And the idea was that the multicultural club would be an extension of AFAM studies. So yes, we're studying race relations in America through the lens of the Black perspective, but we're also talking about all of the parallels of any group that's been marginalized or alienated as well. And Multicultural Club was a forum to be able to go beyond the scope of what the class was. But that took a lot of work, and then we still had the club, but then we're like, okay, what can we do to start really, to be more consistently raise awareness? And one of the things that we'd always been doing is commemorating and recognizing Black History Month. But we always kind of did it with, okay, we'll have moments in Black history in the morning. I'll coordinate students, write up messages that we could read. And then this year, Dr. Flanagan held a meeting with a few staff members and threw out an idea of what could we do to really step up our observance of some of these things in a bigger way. Ms. Laproff and I took charge of the Black History Month component. So what we did there is we continued what I had been doing for years with the moments in Black history, but we wanted to really get the students to be at the center of it. So that's where it went from, okay, let's have a fair. We were talking about doing a history fair anyway. This was a pilot year for the social studies department in terms of we want to actually do the National History Day event. So we were really prepping the kids in terms of how to write the process paper, the type of research you need to do, the types of projects you can have. So being that I already had African American studies classes, which I call AFAM studies classes, since we had those, I already had a student population that could really take some time and sink their teeth into this type of project. I got an email from Teacher Discovery, and they have these traveling exhibits. They're usually focused around literature and art, and they had a Harlem Renaissance traveling exhibit. So I forwarded that message to Dr. Flanagan, and I said, I think this would be a wonderful focal piece to the Black History Month display. I would be embedded. I already teach the Harlem Renaissance, and some English teachers do as well. So we would already have curriculum that we could tie into it. But then maybe art teachers and maybe teachers in other areas could find ways to utilize the exhibit. So we rented it for a week, and that became the backdrop of all the other topics. There was a lot of variety in it, and I liked the idea that we were trying to not just celebrate and commemorate Black history, but finding ways to tie it into local history as well. That the Underground Railroad came right through East Longmeadow as well. So that was a nice project to see. So that's how it kind of all unfolded. Yeah, we had a meeting and said, let's do this, but I guess my point is, this is something that's been in the works in my mind for a long time. And of course, the idea is, this is an area of focus that I enjoy, that I have a passion about, but hopefully this inspires other people with some other ideas of how they can incorporate recognizing more diverse groups throughout our school, throughout our curriculum, and hopefully get some other ideas. it was just fantastic to see the curiosity of the students. Even when I had suggested topics, because I put some out there in case they couldn't think of anything, to see them come up with their own ideas or take the suggested topic and work it into something else, that was inspirational to me. To see them do that and take it and then run with it, and then see them get excited about the story they wanted to share through their project. And then the day we put them on display, because remember, some of these students did their projects last semester, so they hadn't thought about it in a while. And then when they're walking through the hall and they say, oh, there's my project, and they got all excited about their work being on display, it just was a good feeling to not just take on some topics that are very challenging topics, but to see the kids really get passionate about delving into those subjects and then sharing that information. For any of the observance months, right, they're never really meant to be just focused on for that particular month. To me, I look at it as these are groups that are noticeably omitted from curriculum, especially in history curriculum. So it's a month to raise awareness that, there's a more complete history to be told, and these are people that are omitted from it. And when you omit people from a history, there are dangerous things that can happen. You can reinforce negative stereotypes. You can reinforce a psychology about race that can be dangerous and problematic. You also you make it easier to reinforce de facto and de jure or legal segregation or prejudice or just institutional racism in general. So I feel like the more people are educated and aware that these are groups of people that have made significant contributions to American history, I think the better off we'll be, and we can look at each other in a more inclusive way, not trying to ignore race or gender, but seeking to embrace it and celebrate its contribution to American history. Women's History Month comes a lot later, and but for the same ideas, women are omitted from the telling of history, or like what I like to call her story, and just as important as it is for African American experiences to be shared, I think that's important for women as well. And obviously, we're dealing with a society that still has issues in terms of gender equality. And the more that people, especially children growing up, understand that you can be who you want to be, and there should be nobody that's depriving you of any opportunity based on your gender. When they can see these role models of people that came before them, that were pioneers, that broke down barriers, that's a powerful force. And I think Women's History Month, just like Black History Month, is something that does that. But to reiterate, it's not meant to just do that during that month. It's meant to just open people's eyes to say there's a deeper history here that you should be examining all year and celebrating and embracing all year.